Yeah, definitely. I was going to look at my notes real quick because I think, with the holidays and stuff, there's lots of things that kind of come up. Mm-hmm. Nostalgia food, be intentional, guard your heart. Queerness is, I think that's one of the things I wanted to bring up too, is like, I think one of the gifts, as I fucking love being queer, mm-hmm. and I love being trans. But I think one of the things that it's afforded me, and I kind of talked about it a little bit in the beginning, but like we get to do what we want. Like a big part of my queerness is that I'm not like everybody else, and that's on purpose, and that's something that I continue to push myself to be outside of the status quo in some extent. And that can be like whatever, and you can have an opinion, but that's how I live my life. Right. Yeah. And yet there's sometimes where I feel like I have to do things the way everyone else does them, like even just like, sometimes we have like queer people who have like heteronormative relationships, but they're queer. It's like, no, I'm queer because I'm going to do things queerly. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do things differently, And so I think sometimes we could think about that too. It's like, we get to make our own traditions. We get to make our own practices and our own things that we can do every year. Mm-hmm. We don't necessarily have to stay in the roles on the past that our family went into, if that doesn't feel good or suit us any longer, that we can say, okay, I'm going to go spend Christmas Eve with my parents, but on Christmas Day, we're going to get all my friends together. We're going to watch Ben de la Creme's Christmas, and then we're going to watch Rent. And then we're going to I don't know, play Uno. And then we're going to go out to the bar and do karaoke. Like, I don't know, you know what I mean? And that's what we do every Christmas. I get to decide that.
Right.
But I don't think we always think we can, but we're grown.
Yeah. It's hard. Like you've always been the child in the family. Right. And for me, it's like that with my older sister.
Was I ever a child though? Anyway,
like my sister is 14 years older than me, and I'm a lot bigger than her now, but I still am fucking terrified. And like
I thought you were like an only child for some reason.
Well,
you're kind of raised as an only child.
Like if there's 7 years or more in the age gap, then like psychologically, I am both an only child and the youngest, and my sister is the only and the oldest.
Oh wow!
So like going home, I revert back to this little kid where my sister could beat my ass, and I don't test it because I'm
not anymore.
Yeah, but like I revert
not
back
that we're
to
beating anybody's ass,
right? No, and she never did that, but man, she got me.
Yeah. See, my brother and I were 2 years apart, so we were, and I was the oldest, but
always fighting.
We were like when we were kids, we were always very opposite. Like I was great at school. He was not as great at school. I was always in trouble at home. He was never in trouble at home. He wore black all the time. I did not wear black all the time. I very rarely wear black even now. Yeah. But now as adults, we're like really, we're really close.
Yeah.
So it's really pretty wild. I think when we were young, it was just like, and we were so close in age, there was this kind of this competition. And plus like, we both were like, I raised as boys, but I wasn't a boy.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the things that I was doing was very more feminine. So, I liked hanging out with mom and grandma, and I liked making earrings and crafts. And I didn't like being out in the trucks and the cars and fixing shit. And, and so we just were very opposite in a lot of ways. But I think also some of it had to do with a little bit of like, I was a trans person but I wasn't aware of it at the time.
That makes sense. Yeah. My sister and I were the exact same, but just opposite, right? But my family kind of raised me as a little boy. Like all my life, they just never.
They met you where you were at.
Yeah, like they were just like, okay, like that's fine. You can take karate instead of dance. You can, I remember.
Do you think much of that was raising you as a boy, or raising you with the idea that women don't have to be a certain way?
That. Because like my dad was a pioneer
that felt weird.
For change in all of his career for like equality and things like that. But yeah, they just kind of accepted me for what I was. And like there was just quickly this thing that happened in elementary school. I got invited to a birthday party, and it was this girl, this real popular girl, and she had a costume party because her birthday was right around Halloween. So I get there, it's like 5th grade, I think, and all of the girls are dressed up as like Disney princesses, and I was dressed up as Ghostface, and I was like, this feels so awkward. So like other people would be like, oh, who's he? Who's the little boy that you invited? And they're like laughing, and I'm like, okay. And that was my whole childhood.
Uh,
So
yeah.
it's interesting to go home because they've always accepted me as that.